Blessings this morning to the people of God. Today is the Sunday of Epiphany. It's the day that follows the 12th day of Christmas, and it lasts until we get to Ash Wednesday. The word Epiphany comes from the Greek, meaning appearing and revealing. On Epiphany, we remember when God revealed God's self through the birth of Jesus. We also remember the star that appeared to the Magi and led them to the place where they would see Jesus. Often on Epiphany, we look closely at those tangible gifts that the Magi offer. But this morning, we focus on the star that led the Magi to Jesus, and the stars that lead us to Jesus yet today. We'll also reflect on what a special gift, the gift of presence, was and continues to be. This morning, let us ponder where the stars are in our lives, what they reveal, and how we can all be present and open each and every day to their guiding. Please pray with me. Guiding God of love and of light, you sent a star to guide the Magi on their journey to the Christ child. Help us to see your star once again, guiding us on our journeys of faith. You sent your Son as the light into a world of darkness. Help us to continue to seek your Son to light the world every day. Lord, help us to pay attention, to be alert, and to see that light. Amen. Arise, shine, for your light has come. I love the image that brings to mind. For me, it brings me back to some summer camps as a kid and mission trips as a youth. Every morning we were greeted with a boisterous rendition of a variety of wake-up songs by our adult chaperones and counselors. A couple of the ones I remember and have continued as a youth sponsor in my earlier days, Rise and Shine was one, and the Little Birdie song. Now, if you don't know that one, I'm not going to sing it right now. But I will share it with you, and it is more obnoxious than any song you'll ever know. So keep that in your mind. I imagine some of you have some of your own favorite songs from camp, early morning songs that woke you from the deep sleep that you were in, and were often greeted by the rolling of eyes or the hiding under sleeping bags, not really wanting to get up. But those songs do still get the job done. They get those kids and youth kind of moving, eventually up and moving. And as a young person, I most likely did not appreciate the energy that was thrown upon me in those early morning hours. But the message reminded me to greet each morning with joy and to see the morning light as a gift from God. Those words, arise and shine, also bring to mind the glow of the sun as it comes up over the horizon. Whether that's the view from a tent in the mountains or a view from the car as I drive my daughter to school way too early. The sunrise, especially with the mountain range behind it, which we are blessed to have here in this area, it is a view that I never ever tire of, and a view that reminds me of the greatness of God. It's a view that reminds me that with each day, with each sunrise, we are given the gift of a new day, the gift to start again. So arise, shine, for your light has come. And just as the prophet Isaiah delivered this message of light and hope to the people of Jerusalem, he delivers the message to us still today. The prophet Isaiah offers up an amazing future for the people of Jerusalem, a future that is full of light, full of hope, and full of prosperity, full of joy, and full of honor. This message of light and hope comes to a people that were tired, worn down, and struggling to see the light, struggling to see hope, struggling to see joy in their circumstances and in their surroundings. So the prophet Isaiah's message of great joy and prosperity was just what they needed to hear. Just what they needed to hear to restore the hope and their wholeness again. God's glory, like the sun or a bright star shining in the sky, rises over all the people, covering them in light, covering them in God's pure light. God's glory transforms Jerusalem. And in turn, God's glory also prepares to transform the world for generations to come. The prophet Isaiah goes on to tell of all who will come home, all who will come to visit, all who will bring great joy, all who will bring gifts. And what ties all of these people together, what ties all of them together is they're not doing it for their own need. They're doing it to bring glory, to bring praise and thanksgiving to their God for all that God is and has done in their life. God's glory brings forth a new day. And in praise and thanksgiving, the people from all over bring themselves together, bring their finest things to God, just like those Magi in today's story. They come so that they might offer praises, offer their presence, offer themselves to God. The story of the Magi coming to visit Jesus is one that most of us are very familiar with. A story that we tell with a sense of nostalgia, a sense of ownership of that story. These Magi, who are believed to be astrologers, travel from the east, following a star that they have seen rising in the sky, one that looks different than all the rest. And they follow that star, seeking a new king. Guided by that star, they arrive to honor this new king, to honor Jesus. They follow this star driven by an incomprehensible and God-sized purpose. A purpose that plays a part in each of our stories yet today. The presence of these foreign and presumably not the most holy of folks reminds us that God's actions and God's activity is beyond anything that we can ever imagine or comprehend or expect. We are indeed reminded time and time again that God can and does use all people, especially those unexpected, to affirm and to reaffirm Jesus' presence in the world yet today. It's a simple story of 3 scholars who've come a long distance to offer gifts. There's wonder about this story that they are led by a star to Jesus. It testifies to the magnitude and magnificence of the birth of Jesus. And by a star shining in the sky, God led these Magi to Jesus. They came. They offered their best gifts to Jesus. These gifts may have been ordinary gifts for any king to get. The gold represents great value. The frankincense was a sweet-smelling perfume, and the myrrh is an oil used for anointing. However, since we know the identity of this baby, of this special king, these gifts may have even greater importance. For that gold symbolizes royalty, divinity. The frankincense serves as a symbol of holiness and righteousness. And the myrrh is often also an embalming oil, symbolizing suffering and death. These gifts are both ordinary and extraordinary. And even greater than these gifts, the Magi that were present with Jesus. They were present with him. They came to understand through their overwhelming joy that this was no ordinary king that they were visiting. They were so overwhelmed. They knew that this was a big deal. They knew that being present at this very moment, their lives were changed and the lives of the world were changed. They knew that they could not go back to Herod and tell him who they'd met. They knew they had to protect, and they had to go home a different way. And when I think about the people in my life and the gifts that have been given over the years, like those Magi, what I think about more than the precious gifts is their presence. The presence of those people in my life over the years. The presence of people each and every day. I'm reminded of time spent with family, whether that's just hanging out playing games, doing a special activity, not the gifts, but those experiences that we have with our family. That's what matters. That's what God's calling us to do, to be present, to be with each other. That's what those Magi did. They came and they were present. They knew they were in a special place. I'm reminded when I think about being present, when my kids go and sing carols or visit with the people at Hover Home in Longmont, the interaction between the residents there and the kids, the interaction, the laughter, the conversations, the genuine wanting to know what is going on in each other's lives, that's what we're called to be, present, to be that star, to be present with each other. And there are many in this church who offer the gift of presence to each other and to those throughout the community. Whether it's through a visit with someone at their home, delivering a meal to someone in need, meeting someone for coffee, offering a simple smile and a hello when you see someone walking down the street, and checking in with each other during fellowship time and throughout the week. When we do that, we are shining that star. We are being the presence of God here in Lions and to each other. These are just a few examples of the value that presence is, and the presence of those Magi to Jesus, and the star that led them to Jesus. Just as Isaiah spoke to the people in the darkness and promised them the saving and joy-filled light of God, and just as Matthew spoke of the shining star that led the Magi, and just as God offers each and every one of us a light in the midst of darkness, in the midst of uncertainty, the gift of Jesus, we too are called to shine that light brightly for all to see. And before we close, I wanted to start a new tradition. I'm part of several clergy groups online, and there's many churches who have done this over the past. It's called a star word. So each of you, when you come forward for communion, will have an opportunity to choose a star. These wooden ones in this basket are for the grown-ups. Just so you know. The slightly bigger and yellow ones are for the kids. Now, if you're a young at heart and you really want a kid one, I'll let you. But I want to make sure the kids get a kid one too. There's plenty here. Now, my one requirement is they're all face down. You can't dig through and read all of them, pick out which one you want. You have to let your hand just reach in there and grab one out. And it will be what your word will be. That's the hard part, I know. So I trust that you will just reach in and grab one without looking. Kids too. Not just the adults. Everybody has to do that. And this word I ask you to keep somewhere that you'll see it every day, whether that's on your dash in your car, in your bathroom, on the mirror stand, as you walk out the door, wherever you'll see it. And I challenge you this year to think about that word. What is God leading you to? How is that word guiding you? It may challenge you. It may excite you. It may cause you to think a little bit, but I encourage you to really focus on that word this year. And if something exciting happens or you realize something through this word, I also invite you to share that. Share it with me. Share it with those people sitting in this room. Share it with your neighbors. Where is that word leading you? Where is that star guiding you like it guided the Magi many, many years ago? So when you come forward for communion, I invite you to grab a star afterwards and take that with you and celebrate the gift that is the star of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.